Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Paige, and today I'm going to be doing my September TBR as well as a small reading haul because it is September 2nd, it's Labor Day, and Half Price Books had a 20% off Labor Day sale, so you know I had to go. So I think I'm going to start with the haul just because it's not like a super long haul. For Labor Day, I went to the flagship store downtown Dallas, and I love the flagship store for Half Price because there's always so many options, and they have a really good clearance section to begin with, and then everything was 20% off. So I went to the clearance section first, and I found this really cute copy of A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. I've actually never read Charles Dickens. Like, I know the story of A Christmas Carol, but like I've never actually read it. But this cover was so cute. The spine is the same design. This is A Tale of Two Cities. It's during the French Revolution. One flees to London, and the other is facing death in Paris. It's their story between the two men. And then the other one I got on clearance was Notes from Small Planets, and this sounds hilarious. It is a science fiction fantasy, and a lot of people call it comedy also. So it is just like a field guide about different planets in different worlds, and it's just super cute, and it'll be a really quick read, I think. It's basically just tells you like when to visit the planet, what you need to bring with you, what kind of animals and people live there, and all that stuff. I've heard it's really funny, it's really cute. Every time I go to Half Price and I see this, I want to buy it, but I've never done it. These are the first two I picked up. They were both on clearance, both had the 20% off. And then I went into the science fiction fantasy section, and I found a lot of stuff that I was super excited about. I got 2 books of the Witcher series. I want to collect these covers because I really like these covers. So I got the second full book, which is this one. And then this is the last book in the series. I've read all of the novellas, and I've started the first novel. I'm very excited to continue with the series. I do love the audiobooks. The audiobooks for The Witcher are fantastic. Dandelion, the Bard, 10 out of 10. And then I picked up Robert Jordan, Great Hunt, second book in the Wheel of Time. If you don't know what the series is about, it's the dragon, and he is reincarnated or like reborn every so many years. And after the Wheel of Time like comes back around, that age is over. I only have the first 2, so I'm really happy that I found this there, and I'm going to continue to look for more of these when I go. And then I got Dead Astronauts by Jeff Vandermeer. I love Jeff Vandermeer. He's one of my favorite science fiction authors, and I originally saw this book at my library like 2 years ago, and I picked it up. I'm like, I'm going to bring it home. I'm going to read it. It was the second book of a series. I didn't realize that. However, with Jeff Vandermeer, I've realized his series don't really need to be read in order, and like they give you a little bit of background, but I feel like his trilogies kind of just jump around a bunch, and there's no really rhyme or reason about which order to read them in. So this one says, a messianic blue fox who slips through warrens of time and space on a mysterious mission. Homeless woman haunted by a demon who finds the key to all things in a strange journal. Giant leviathan of fish, centuries old, which hides a secret, remembering a past that may not be its own. 3 ragtag rebels waging an endless war for the fate of the world against an all-powerful corporation. A raving madman who wanders the desert, lost in the past, tormented by his own creation, an invisible monster whose name he has forgotten and whose purpose remains hidden. So it's just following a bunch of characters that I'm assuming interact at some point, but it's like an apocalyptic science fiction, and it sounds really interesting. And there's like letters and transcripts and manuscripts in here, and it just is super cool. There's different versions of the reality. And then I got one more science fiction called Welcome to Night Vale, and I saw this at the library, and I just think it's a super cool concept. It's a really pretty book, and I really wanted it on my shelf. When I saw it, I got super excited. But it says, welcome to Night Vale, a friendly desert community somewhere in the American Southwest. In this ordinary little town where ghosts, angels, aliens, and government conspiracies are commonplace parts of everyday life, the lives of 2 women with 2 mysteries are about to converge. So that one is Welcome to Night Vale. And then I got Film by Stephen King. I have been wanting to read this for a very long time. It's super long though, and it's a little bit intimidating. Know the general gist of the story. It's like the town is like sealed off from the rest of the world by this invisible force field dome thing, and nobody can get out, nobody can get in, and it's just trying to figure out how to survive because time is running out as oxygen runs out and pollution starts to increase, and it's one of more of his apocalyptic science fiction type stories. And then finally, I got another Frederick Bachman book. My grandmother asked me to tell you she's sorry, and it's just about a lady who tells her granddaughter all these stories and basically is her only friend. And when her grandma dies, she tells Elsa, hey, I need you to go to apologize to all these people that I wronged in my life. That it's the story of her going to find all these people that her grandma's trying to say sorry to. Now that I finished the book haul part, I'm going to go into my September TBR. And it is a lot longer than I will ever get through. So let's just get started. So the Alice 6 is about 6 magicians trying to be accepted into the Alexandrian society. And basically they'll have knowledge, or they'll have access to all of the knowledge in the world and be able to secure a life of power and just be super important. It's the trials basically to become one of the Alexandrian society. I think it sounds really interesting. I know it follows multiple people, multiple points of view. That's my first book on my fall TBR. So the next one is The Book That Wouldn't Burn. And I chose this one because I've been really intrigued by it, and it's set in a library, and libraries are super cozy, and I think fall is a super cozy time. It's literally my favorite season. I wish it felt like fall right now. I have fall scented like air fresheners in my house. I got some new slippers the other day. I am so ready for fall, but it's still over 100 degrees out. I would love to get into the cozy feels of a good library fantasy. It's about 2 teenagers. The boy spent his whole life trapped within a book-choked chamber, so basically an old library. And this girl has spent her time in a tiny settlement where nightmares stalk and no one goes. The world never even noticed them. That's about to change. And then they meet up and they learn all of the truths and lies of the world. I've been wanting to read this for so long. I actually bought this like probably almost a year ago now. As soon as it came out in paperback, I grabbed a copy. The next book is to finish the first Game of Thrones book. Now this feels like a winter series, but I'm already 378 pages in, and I would love to finish this before winter so then I can get into the next book's start of winter. I've never seen the show, and I figured I should probably read the books first if I'm ever going to watch the show. So if you don't know what Game of Thrones is, it's basically just like a political high fantasy following different courts and different houses along the land. So that's my third book on my fall TBR. Next, I'm going to be trying to read Blood of Elves. This is the first full novel of the Witcher series. It is about a man called Geralt, and he is a switcher, so he has these powers that helps him defeat demons, and he's really good at like fighting and all that. He finds a child who he helps in the novellas a little bit, but he goes and finds this child and basically takes her under his wing to train her up to be one of his people to help change the world, fight evil, keep the good around. So yeah, I really want to get to this. That's the 4th book. I have Gallant by V.E. Schwab. I've been wanting to read it. I've had this on my TBR for a couple years. Basically, it is about a girl who doesn't know where she is from. She finds her mom's old journal full of entries that seem to show what she was unraveling in drawings that look like blots of ink, until Olivia notices a hand, a door, a bloom, a skull. And she gets beckoned to Gallant, which is a big house. Basically, it's just her trying to figure out what this house is, some of the secrets of it, and try to find her way back home. I think it'll be exciting. I know it won a Goodreads Choice Award a couple years ago, which is why I own it. So I'm gonna read this one because I should have gotten to it last year and I didn't. So yeah, that is the 5th book on my fall TBR. And then I have 2 Stephen King books. These are both for October because my friend and I are going to read through them together. I have Fairy Tale, which is his new type of fantasy, because the Dark Tower series was like his main dive into fantasy, and then he wrote Fairy Tale, which is very different than the Dark Tower series. He meets a dog and the dog's master in a big house, and the shed has sounds going on in it, and he goes in. So it's about the other world that he goes into. And then the second book that I want to read in October that's Stephen King is 11/22/63. This is his take on the JFK assassination, and it is a science fiction. I'm pretty sure it involves him going back in time to that point and trying to stop it. I'm not 100% sure. I also don't have a dust jacket for this. So yeah, I'm excited because I've heard so many good things about this book, and I want to read it with somebody because I know it's gonna make me have a lot of thoughts. So there's that one, and Fairy Tale. And then I have Renegades. It's superheroes, and a superhero or a villain goes undercover in a superhero society, and each of these people have different powers that make them a hero. That's all I really know about it, and that's all I really want to know about it because I think it's going to be super interesting, and I've heard so many good things about it, and so many YouTubers have read it that I think it'll be a good time. It's also pretty long, but I've heard it reads super, super quick. So yeah, that is another book. And then I have 2 historical fiction books, The Invisible Hour by Alice Hoffman and Midnight Rooms by Donier Coles. So this is about a girl who gets married and goes to live in this house that has a bunch of secrets, and she's trying to discover the secrets. And then The Invisible Hour says, one brilliant June day when Mia Jacob can no longer see a way to survive, the power of the world saves her. The Scarlet Letter was written almost 200 years ago, but it seems to tell the story of Mia's mother and her life inside the community, an oppressive cult in western Massachusetts, where contact with the outside world is forbidden and books are considered evil. But how could Nathaniel Hawthorne have so perfectly captured the pain and loss that Mia carries inside of her? So it's just kind of her and going through the Scarlet Letter and trying to figure out the connections and how Nathaniel Hawthorne could ever even know what anything like this is like. So those are 2 pretty short ones, so I'm probably going to read those pretty close together. And then the rest of them are horror and a mystery. So the mystery I want to get to is The Last Word by Taylor Adams. This is about a woman who is house sitting, and she decides to read a book, and that book she decides to give a 1-star rating and a 1-star review, and the author basically comes after her and tries to get her. But it's a pretty short little thriller, and I think it'll be good for the fall months. And then I have some thrillers. Well, not really thrillers. These are horror novels. So first I have Imaginary Friend by Stephen Chbosky. It's about a single mother on the run, and she wants to improve her life and her son Christopher's life. So she flees in the middle of the night with him. They find themselves drawn into the tight-knit community of Mill Grove, Pennsylvania, and at first it feels like the perfect place to settle down, and then Christopher vanishes for 6 days. And when he comes out of the woods, he is unharmed, but he is changed. He returns with a voice in the head that he can only hear, with a mission only he can complete. Build a treehouse in the woods by Christmas, or his mother and everyone in the town will never be the same again. Really excited to try it out. I haven't heard many things about this, but it seems super, super interesting, and the premise is great. Then I have A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. It's about Dracula's wife, and I know it's going to be a really quick read, and it just seems really interesting, so I am going to read through this. Saved from the Brink of Death by a Mysterious Stranger, Constanta is transformed from a medieval peasant into a bride fit for an undying king. But when Dracula draws a cunning aristocrat and starving artist into his web of passion and deceit, Constanta realizes that her beloved is capable of terrible things. So it's about her story. It's about the Bride of Dracula. I'm very excited. I can't tell you how many times I've said that today, but also, this sounds so good. I would love to pick this one up right now, but I'm going to hold myself back because I do want to read my September TBR. For the last, horror novel, just regular horror, I have Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulek. And this is a book about, this is another Goodreads choice from a couple years ago, but it is about a lady who's down on her luck, so she goes and gets a job as, a nanny for this little kid. The kid is super sweet and constantly is drawing, and all of his drawings are super, super kind of messed up. So they try to figure out what's going on with the kid. But it just sounds really cool. I've heard it's decent, but the drawings are really cool. All of the pictures in here are drawings that he supposedly has done and are a reason for wondering what's wrong with him. And then this book has been on my list to read for a very long time, but I need somebody to buddy read it with me because it is going to be a lot. And that book is House of Leaves. It is a horror novel, and it is written in the strangest ways. So it's written in typewriter text, and then you'll turn some of the pages, and it'll be written a research paper with footnotes and little citations. Some of the pages only have a couple sentences on them. And overall, I'm pretty sure it's just about a creepy old house. But I want to go into this one blind just because of the different way it is told and all of the different aspects of the book. I think it'd be a super cool book to read, and I'm excited to read it. However, I don't want to know anything about it until I get through it, because I've heard a lot of opinions are formed throughout the reading of it. So House of Leaves is the last book on my fall TBR. If you have made a fall TBR, let me know what's on it. Have a good morning, have a good night, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Have a great one, and goodbye.